Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the special town hall meeting for the Board of Public Works for this evening, Wednesday, February 6, 2019.
Good evening, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officers. For those that you are joining us for the first time, we do establish a quorum and we establish roll call. So today we have Commissioner James and also Commissioner Cabello that are here. We will start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with the Bureau of Street Services.
Keith Mosey, Bureau of Street Services, Assistant General Manager.
I'm Kearney Marine with the Bureau of Street Lighting.
Chris Smith with Bureau of Contract Administration.
Alex Haru, LA Sanitation.
Julie Souter, Bureau of Engineering.
And again, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. For those of you that would like to address the board, you can fill out a speaker card. I believe I met everyone in the room today, but in case you did not receive a speaker card, you can just fill one out. There's also one in the back of the room, and then just hand it to me and we will call you up. With that said, President James, we have no speaker cards under general public comment. We have no commentary on the neighborhood council comment section. We did receive a series of speaker cards on the items for today's agenda as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dr. Campos. Just a couple of things, ladies and gentlemen, that's a little different about the meetings that we like to do when we come to the community. We prefer to do a town hall style rather than the kind of standard method of speaker cards and limited time. We find that it suits the environment a little better. So if you hear something during each presentation or during any presentation, if you have a question, whether or not you put in a speaker card after the presentation, I'll call for questions. Just raise your hand, and we typically like to have just a discussion back and forth with the representatives that we have. We have representatives from every bureau. They are senior level management representatives from every single bureau, including our Office of Community Beautification. But we are, of course, being hosted tonight by our incredible council member from Council District 2, Councilmember Paul Krekorian, and his and of course his terrific staff, who we work with the council member and his staff regularly, obviously every day on Public Works. And just a few things that I want to say by way of introduction for Councilmember Krekorian. He really is our champion for Public Works, all the way down the Public Works portfolio, if you will, for Office of Community Beautification, which we will hear from first. Councilman Krekorian has been a champion of OCBs at the budget level, really year in and year out. It's something that he's very passionate about. All five of our bureaus, sanitation, street services, street lighting, engineering, and contract administration, we rely on the leadership of Councilman Krekorian and what we do every year, and in fact every day, and of course with budget season coming up, what we do annually with the city's budget. And Councilman Krekorian, before he was a council member, was a leader at the state assembly for the entertainment industry throughout the state, and he continues to be a leader for us in the entertainment industry in the city of Los Angeles as well. Something else that we work on regularly with Councilman Krekorian, he keeps his eye sharply on our dangerous condition risk management issues. And I have the honor of sitting with Councilman Krekorian on the city's risk management task force, which he co-chairs with the mayor and the city attorney. So, Councilman, again, thank you for hosting us this evening in your wonderful Council District 2. We're always happy to be here. And I'm here about every day in Council District 2 as I live very nearby. And thank you to your staff as well. And with that, if you'd like to take a few minutes, we'd love to hear from you.
Well, great. Thank you very much, Chairman James and Commissioner Cabello. Welcome to Council District 2. It's great to have the board here, and I feel a little funny with my back to my constituents. So if you don't mind, I'm going to speak to them.
Great.
And just
we thought we might do that there.
Kind of turn this around, so forgive my back. But I want to welcome all of you to this meeting of the Board of Public Works. How many of you have ever been to a meeting of the Board of Public Works before? Okay, fair number of you. So you know that the Board of Public Works has a unique place in the governance of our city. and really in the history of our city as well. The Board of Public Works is the only one of all of the commissions of the city that has full-time professional members serving on this board. And that has been the case since the Charter Amendment of 1925, almost 100 years ago, when the city, when the people of the city of Los Angeles decided that it was important in administering and handing out millions and millions of dollars worth of public works contracts to have an independent body of professionals overseeing the conduct of that work. And that has been a system that has worked well for the city since 1925. It was a good government reform that continues to work well for this city. This board, the 5 members of this board, have a gargantuan job. And I just want to thank the commissioners who are here and our department staff as well for the work that they do. Because when you think about it, what's encompassed by the Board of Public Works is really the bulk of what we all think of as city services. Besides public safety, the work that they do is really the nuts and bolts of running a city. It's everything from building and maintaining your streets, maintaining our sidewalks, taking care of the urban forest, picking up the trash, taking care of our stormwater and our wastewater. Every bridge, every street light, every street, every sidewalk, every piece of the physical infrastructure of the city of Los Angeles, at one point or another, has been designed, built, maintained by the people who work underneath the umbrella of the Board of Public Works. And that includes 19 projects that we're working on right now within our council district to improve the quality of life here in the 2nd Council District. So this is an immense job that they have, and I just want to express, I guess I should turn around this way now. On behalf of all of my constituents, I just want to thank all of you for the incredible work that you're doing. We know the challenges that you face. In a city that has more sidewalks than any other city in America, for example, a city that has as many streets as we have, as many trees, as many street lights, we have more of just about everything than any other city around. And you have faced the challenge of taking care of that infrastructure with, in the time that I've been on the council, with inadequate resources. Because we've had budget cuts, we've had the Great Recession, we've had great challenges in trying to be able to meet these needs. But thankfully, the health of the budget has been restored. We're at a point now where we're starting to infuse additional resources into the bureaus. Thank you, President James, for mentioning the risk management effort that we're making, which will say, right now, folks, the city spends about $120 or so million a year on liability, settlement of lawsuits, judgments against the city, and a whole lot of that is due to unsafe conditions. So what we're doing through the Board of Public Works to invest on fixing those conditions is really going to save taxpayers money over the course of the long term. We have new resources coming in because of local return from our tax measures into street services. There's a number of other sources of revenue that are coming in now that are going to allow us to have a greater investment in our future. And this is where it's going to happen. So I'm looking forward to the discussion that you all would like to bring to the board about what you feel are the city's priorities as we continue to recover the services that we're providing. And I'm also very much looking forward to recognizing the work of our OCB contractors who do an absolutely amazing job whenever we call of getting rid of graffiti, doing neighborhood cleanups, all of the best stuff that our neighborhood council representatives participate in that really makes a difference in our communities every day. The OCB contractors are there with us, and I'm so appreciate that you're here to give them recognition as well. So with that, commissioners, thank you very much for being here, and to staff as well, thank you for spending your evening here in discussion with my constituents. Welcome.
Thank you, council member. And with that, we'll start with OCB. Mr. Bolito.
Good evening, Mr. President and members of the board. Jerry Valido, representing the Board of Public Works Community Beautification, and representing my director, Mr. Paul Roch, who is unfortunately out of town at a conference back east. Tonight I am here to offer recognition to two graffiti contractors who service Council District 2 for their dedication and hard work to keep the district clean. Established in 1975, New Directions for Youth is a comprehensive youth development agency that provides direct services and programs to more than 3,000 at-risk youth and families annually. They provide critically needed services to more than 200,000 youth, the majority of whom come from very low-income families residing in underserved geographic areas, including North Hollywood, Van Nuys, Panorama City, North Hills, the Economic Enterprise Zone of Pacoima, Sun Valley, and contiguous areas. They have been a long-standing graffiti abatement contractor, partnering with the Office of Community Beautification, and I'm very pleased to present them with this recognition on behalf of the Board of Public Works. Certificate reads that the Board of Public Works honors New Directions for Youth for over 25 years of continuous service as a contractor with the Office of Community Beautification and for providing exceptional service, including graffiti removal and other items as required to help keep LA beautiful, and for your continuous efforts to improve the quality of life for the residents of Los Angeles. And it's signed by President Kevin James and Vice President Cabello, dated February 6, 2019. Congratulations.
I just want to say thank you so much. Tim Brown, who's the program director in charge of the graffiti removal and cleanup program, has worked so hard to make sure that the community is clean and safe. And as the executive director of New Directions for Youth, I can't be more proud. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Congratulations. Thank you both.
Continuing on with our second recognition this evening, Sun Valley Graffiti Busters grew from a community cleanup in 1988. In 1989, the Chamber of Commerce entered into a competitive grant process and started receiving funding for graffiti removal through the City of LA, which continues to this day through the Office of Community Beautification. The program does much more than just remove graffiti. They provide brush clearance along the roadsides in their area, and they remove trash throughout the community. Graffiti removal is done by sandblasting, paint, and the use of non-toxic chemicals. Similarly, Sun Valley Graffiti Busters is a longtime contractor with the City of LA, and speaking as their former monitor, I can vouch for their efficiency and commitment to keeping their area of the San Fernando Valley as clean as they can. And I'd like to present this certificate to them this evening.
We have what I like to call our one sheet or cheat sheet that is available at the it's at the back table, I think, Dr. K. Oh, right over on the side table. Please grab one. If you don't have one, take it with you. The front page is, I guess, interesting enough. It's our photographs. But on the back, there is much more interesting information, telephone numbers, and just a brief description of the services that each of our Public Works bureaus provides, along with the website and the link. So if you want quick access for that summary information, please take that with you. And I always tell folks, though, one benefit of coming to our community meeting, if you want to reach us directly, our email address and phone number are on the front page, and you can email us directly. And if you want to put in that you came to our community meeting in the subject line, I'll speak for myself. I look at it faster. So with that, we will start with the Office of Community Beautification and Mr. Valido.
Good evening again. This evening I'm here to give you a brief overview of the different programs that we have with the Office of Community Beautification and how you might be able to access those programs. This will be a short presentation, so if you have any questions that you might want to ask me personally afterwards, I'll be right over here in the corner for about 10 or 15 minutes. My colleague, Mr. Thomas Corrales, is actually the monitor for this area of the city, and he'll be available to answer questions for you as well. The vision of the Office of Community Beautification is a city where every neighborhood is a clean, green, and beautiful place to live, work, and play. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and empower people to take actions to improve and beautify the community and the environment. The main program that we have with the Office of Community Beautification is that of graffiti removal. We partner with 13 different community-based organizations throughout the city who, through contractual agreement with the city, provide graffiti removal services 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The requests come through the 311 hotline and online through MyLA 311. In 2017 and 2018, here in Council District 2, you can see that over 1.3 million square feet of graffiti was removed from over 26,000 locations. The numbers on the board are staggering. There's a lot of graffiti that happens all over the city, and we rely a lot on constituents such as yourselves to call in these incidences of graffiti so that we know about it and we can get our crews out there within a 48 to 72-hour window. Sir. Yes, sir.
Which wedge is the East Valley? Which color?
Put my glasses on. It's going to be the green one. Yeah. Where's my pointer? Which one's your pointer to?
Green. Green.
East Valley.
Oh, East Valley. Green. Yeah.
That was that guy right there.
Thank you.
The second most important program that we have with the Office of Community Beautification is our community cleanup program. We have a big warehouse downtown at 2222 East 7th Street that houses all sorts of cleanup materials, brooms, rakes, shovels, disposable gloves, trash bags. And through our office, you can coordinate a cleanup with one of our coordinators for a community cleanup, to pick up litter, a landscaping event, to plant trees, to clear up weeds in your area. And we will deliver those tools for free. We'll loan them to you for free, deliver them for free, and we'll pick them up for free as well. And we'd be more than happy to partner with you guys in that. You can talk to any one of the coordinators in our office, and we can set up something so that you can have a successful event. The CSLA program is known as the Clean Streets LA Initiative. It is a program where we partner with the Bureau of Sanitation to address certain hotspot areas throughout the city in regards to public right-of-way cleanup. A lot of times you're going to have areas in the city that have overgrown weeds. So we provide weed abatement, bulky item pickup, and in areas where there's illegal dumping, we'll go ahead and send crews out. We have crews that go out weekly to address these issues and try to get these things cleaned up as quickly as possible. Once again, in 2017, 2018, in Council District 2 alone, we collected over 3,200 trash bags and bulky items. We removed over 400 bulky items from the streets throughout Council District 2. So once again, this is also a very successful program thus far, and the requests that we get come directly from the council office or from constituents. Finally, we have supplemental services with the Office of Community Beautification, one being the Adopt a Median program, where constituents can partner with our office so that they can get a community improvement project on the public right-of-way. The city will help you through the review process, will help you get the project permitted, and ultimately the permits for the project, the permit fees will be waived. The only factor here is that once we waive the permit fees, the constituent group agrees to take charge of the project and maintain the project in perpetuity. We also have a court restitution program where we go to court and we testify on the cost of graffiti removal. We try to obtain restitution from those perpetrators who have committed the crimes and who have been convicted of graffiti vandalism. So once again, Office of Community Beautification is here to assist you at any type of beautification projects that you may have. Please feel free to contact our office for further information, and we'll do our best to help you out.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Valito? Yes, ma'am.
Put down 213, this is my number, 978-0223. And I believe we have some information back there on the back table as well. Yes.
That $13,000 restitution receipt, is that citywide or was that just
So the 13,000 that you saw was a citywide restitution. A lot of times what happens with the court costs is the defendants will either get, obviously, jail time, depending on the types of crimes that were committed in addition to the graffiti. So what the district attorney tries to do is they try to always find some monetary restitution to give to the defendant.
along with community service?
They try, yeah. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I have a friend that really likes to walk, and she is just disgusted by all the trash and dirty sidewalks that she finds. And she's been making a list of where she finds it. And I told her to call 311, but she'd kind of like to know what department would clean sidewalks. Is that yours, or is that another department?
We can actually, once again, the sidewalks are the public right-of-way. So if you have information like that, you can actually forward that. If you forward that information to your council office, they can get that to us so that we can assign crews for that particular area, and we can send a crew out through the CSLA program. Yeah. Sir.
Would you have an opinion on the quality of therapy in Los Angeles as far as homelessness and drug addiction, gangs and graffiti?
That's a little bit out of my purview. I can speak on the graffiti aspect. And I'm sorry, what was the main question?
The quality of therapy in Los Angeles.
Quality of therapy? Could you clarify that?
Yeah, well, homelessness, is a big problem as far as post-traumatic stress disorder being emphasized in therapy or childhood sex abuse, and dealing with the situation of the homeless, and as far as signing them up for SSI, not just pressure to get a job. You're going to go from homeless and you're going to get a job. Wow, that's a big step up for someone who hasn't had an apartment. And then dealing with lessening homelessness in Los Angeles.
Once again, yeah, the homelessness issue is a little bit out of the purview of our office. As far as the graffiti removal is concerned, once again, we are more on the abatement side of it. We don't really get involved a whole lot with those individuals that commit the crimes. We as far as a public works entity, we're strictly involved with the cleanup. So that might be better addressed by another entity. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Valito. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
And you did indicate you would stay for a few more minutes if anybody had individual questions. Great, thank you, sir. Lee Blumenfeld, I've got a card for you for general public comment. Let's go ahead and take care of general public comment, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. Honorable members of the board and esteemed departments, thank you first of all for being here after work hours. Allows us to get to see you. Our community of Encino, we pride ourselves in our urban canopy. In fact, our symbol is an oak tree. I bring to you a matter of urgent concern. We have over 40 trees in the White Oak median between Burbank and Oxnard, whose irrigation system is willfully beyond repair. Thankfully, we've had a good amount of rain to help the trees out that are there right now. And thanks to our council member, Paul Koretz, has authorized temporary watering of those trees. There is a maintenance contract that is supposed to cut the grass and clean the medians. Unfortunately, during the summer and spring months, there's no grass. And we have already started seeing a significant decline in the amount of trees that are over there. They're losing limbs, possibly causing property damage, and the replacement cost is obviously only going to expedite an increase on that. Encino Neighborhood Council does want to help in the cost, as does the council member's office. However, the quoted cost for the sprinkler line repair was $200,000, a little bit outside of our budget. We have asked for a cost breakdown last July to kind of see if we can start taking little bites at it and fixing one median at a time. And we're still waiting to go ahead and see that breakdown. I don't know if there's something that we can do to put it on an accelerated list, because we just don't want to lose any more of our trees. So I do thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Blumenfeld. What I would recommend, Keith Mose, our Assistant Director from Street Services, is here, although he is not in the Urban Forestry Division directly. But I'll let Keith speak to it briefly from the Bureau of Street Services, but let me throw this out just initially. One, I think it's something that for the median and maintenance of the median, we do have some contracts in place. It may be something that we can work into one of our existing contracts. Just a question for you. Do you know if there are any? Are you on the neighborhood council?
Yes, sir, I am.
Do you know if the neighborhood council works with any of the business improvement districts in the area?
Unfortunately, this is located in a completely residential area.
So there's no bid for that area?
There's no bid for that area,
Okay.
and it's the closest businesses are all the way on White Oak and Ventura, so it's a bit far away. And asking to the residents to kind of take over such an enormous task is a little bit outside of our price range.
Understood. Keith, anything?
Yeah, sir, I'm not exactly familiar with this, but I thought ahead. I did bring one of our urban foresters with us today, Mr. Ron Tull back there.
Oh, hey, Ron, I didn't even see you.
We do appreciate Ron. He's spoken at our meetings before.
He can basically help address your questions and talk to you in the back there.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. So the urban forestry in the room, in the house. Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 2, an overview of streetscape and street services, improvements, repairs, sweeping, tree trimming. This is from our Bureau of Street Services. And the Bureau of Street Services is pretty self-explanatory. They manage the one of the largest municipal street networks and street inventories in the United States, in North America, and likely around the world, of course. But in addition to street services, as was just discussed, street services also manages the urban forest, and street services also, as in its partnership with the Bureau of Engineering, as really a manager of the public right-of-way, also houses the city's, our special events division. So various permits for special events all route their way through the Bureau of Street Services. They also have an enforcement division as well that relates to encroachments and other violations within the public right-of-way. And we have Veronica Maxwell from the Bureau of Street Services with us this evening. Ms. Maxwell, good to see you.
Good evening, and thank you. It's nice to see you as well, and thank you for giving them a general overview of my presentation tonight. I appreciate that.
Something quick.
Yes, and I'll be brief as well. Again, good evening, Mr. President and members of the board. My name is Veronica Maxwell. I'm the service coordinator with the Bureau of Street Services, and I'm here to give a brief presentation tonight on some of the Bureau's four core programs. As the commissioner said, we have the Urban Forestry Division, which has approximately 700,000 street trees in the public right-of-way. We also incorporate the Enforcement Division, which provides code enforcement in the public right-of-way. We have a pavement preservation program and also a street sweeping program.
thought about it.
Who needs a copy?
Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Councilman.
Full service council, thank you.
Always have a backup.
Councilman, you do it all. I'm a public servant, Mike.
There you go. Now it works.
There we go. Now everyone can follow along because we're back on track.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, Veronica.
Okay, great. As I just mentioned, the Bureau of Street Services has 4 core programs.
We waited until you finished, Councilman.
Thank you. And they are the Urban Forestry Division, Enforcement, Pavement Preservation, and Street Sweeping. Let's see, there you have it. Okay, under the Resurfacing and Reconstruction Pavement Preservation Program, and this is particularly statistics for Council District 2. So, under resurfacing, the Bureau for the fiscal year 18-19, we are proposing and anticipate completing 48 lane miles and 140 slurry seal miles. And the two combined nearly totals 200 lane miles, all in Council District 2. Overall, for the fiscal year of 18-19, we anticipate completing 655 lane miles of resurfacing and 1,545 lane miles of slurry seal. Neighborhood Council Initiative. Under the Neighborhood Council Initiative, each neighborhood council receives 2 days per year of a dedicated small asphalt repair truck for community-selected repairs to the roadway and to the sidewalk. And in total, there are 98 neighborhood councils. And each neighborhood council, 99? Thank you for the correction. Appreciate that. Again, there are 99 neighborhood councils in total. Prior to the truck visiting each neighborhood council, they are contacted 30 days in advance of the actual truck visit. Our Street Maintenance Division. In fiscal year 2018 to 19, the Bureau proposes to perform 65,000 square feet of small asphalt repairs. Small asphalt repairs are also known as potholes. And effective February 1st, 2019, for the 18-19 fiscal year, the Bureau completed approximately 1,218 small asphalt repairs, otherwise known as potholes. These potholes, once reported to the 311 system, are completed and inspected all under or within 3 working days. Concrete improvements. Under the concrete improvements, the Bureau performs grant-funded streetscape projects, concrete bus pads, and ADA curb ramps. Under the grant-funded streetscape projects, there is an annual budget of approximately $15 million for the fiscal year 18-19. And under this program, it covers sidewalks, medium islands, access ramps, and other beautification projects. Under concrete bus pads, the Bureau will complete approximately 50 bus pads this year for 18-19, and the bus pads are located at the major bus stops around the city of Los Angeles and mainly on your major corridors. The ADA curb ramps, the Bureau anticipates completing at least 300 for the 18-19 year. Great Streets, enhanced maintenance. We have under this program the cycle track cleaning with the mini sweeper. And I might add that the city of Los Angeles is the first city in the United States to purchase mini sweepers. These mini sweepers were specially designed to sweep within the protected bike lanes and to do a thorough cleaning of such areas. We also have the decorative sidewalks, which you can see the custom street print in your upper right-hand corner. And below that, we have special tree wells maintenance, where we also, where the Bureau will also maintain these tree wells, cleaning and or replace broken and damaged tree wells. Investigation and Enforcement Division. The Investigation and Enforcement Division is a present force at special events to ensure the health and safety of the community and the environment. And as mentioned previously, this division also provides code enforcement in the public right-of-way throughout the city of Los Angeles. Urban Forestry. Shout out to Ron in the back. Urban Forestry. During the fiscal year 2018-19, the Bureau of Street Services anticipates 2,665 tree trimmings, and as in 2017-18, last fiscal year, we completed approximately 2,626 tree trimmings. Thanks to Ron and his wonderful crews. Methods and Standards Division. During the recent rainstorms, approximately 1 week ago, the Bureau received 846 pothole requests via the MyLA 311 app from February the 1st through February the 5th, and they were all equally distributed around the city of Los Angeles. In addition to the 846 pothole requests, we also received 750 tree emergency requests during the same period, and they were concentrated specifically in the valley. In CD2, we have one future grant-funded project, and it's actually an application that's pending under the Community Development Block Grant Program to install sidewalk along Armenta Street from Ledge Avenue to DeGuillermo Ave for approximately $2.6 million. And BSS has worked primarily with the council office and Council Member Krekorian and his wonderful staff to complete this task. In closing, if you would like to contact the Bureau, you can do so in one of several ways, being our 311 system or 1-800-996-CITY, or via the internet at lacity.org/myla311, via Twitter at BSS Los Angeles, and or Facebook.com, and or the mobile app at myla311. Thank you. Are there any questions, or Commissioner, would you like to hold?
Well, I've got a speaker card from Sarah Ramsawak on agenda item number 2. So we'll start with Sarah, and then from there we'll take questions, Suzanne.
You can just stay there.
Yeah, we can hear you, ma'am.
I think you can hear me
Yes.
without my getting too deep in the microphone. And I do want to thank you very much. And Mr. Kevin James, we're very glad to have you helping us tonight.
Thank you.
And every day. And I don't think we say thank you enough to the people who do things for us. And so I certainly want to give my thanks to Mr. Krekorian. He has helped us very much. I was with the North Hollywood Northeast Neighborhood Council for 9 years. I am no longer with the council, but I'm a very visible stakeholder. And I have been counting the trees that need to come down and the tree stumps that have been left in the neighborhood. I have given them to Mr. Krekorian, and I think that it has helped a lot, because just this year, since January the 1st, on the street where I live, and in the streets that are just adjacent, about 5 or 6 liquid ambers, big, tall liquid ambers, have been removed, and I thank you very much, Mr. Krekorian. But I live in a small corner of North Hollywood Northeast Neighborhood Council, and in that small corner, I have a neighborhood watch. The dimensions of the neighborhood watch are about 1/2 square mile. It has 23 streets, and when I started this project, it had over 30 dead trees. I still have a lot of tree stumps, but within 30 minutes, in my small watch area, I found almost 20 stumps. One of them is very old. Very old. It's on El Caprice, if anybody remembers that tiny little cul-de-sac. But El Caprice has a tree stump that is about 4 feet in diameter. It's been there a long time, has nestled in with a lot of insects and everything. But there are other tree stumps that also like the community. So in beautification and in taking care of our streets, I will be pursuing those tree stumps, and thank you very much for helping.
Thank you, ma'am. And our gentleman from Urban Forestry will take down those locations for you. One of the things that we have received this past year with the assistance of Councilman Krekorian and the Budget Committee and the City Council, we have Urban Forestry has had additional funding this year for dead tree removals as well as tree stump removals. So we'll get those locations from you. All right, thank you. Suzanne, yes.
How is street cleaning determined? For example, Riverside has never been swept in 20 years that I've lived near it, but Bradford is swept twice on Thursday and Friday, just that section of Bradford. It kind of boggles the mind.
We'll explain it for you.
No, this is my first time. We have posted and non-posted sweeping routes throughout the city of Los Angeles. And the posted routes are typically swept once a week. The non-posted routes are swept less frequently. And so what we can do is we can take the information from you, we can do a specialized cleaning for you for that particular route.
My area is swept, one side is Thursday and the other side is Friday, every week.
Those are the posted routes.
Right. So we're actually looking at reorganizing as far as on the posted routes to address issues like that, to where it's like, yeah, if you just drove one more block, you could sweep something else. So we are looking at things like that. But we can take your information down. Ms. Aida Valencia is in the back there. She can take your information, and basically she'll put you in contact with our cleaning group, and we'll address that for you.
And Suzanne, just one of the challenges that the city runs into with sweeping streets they're not posted. When they're posted, there are signs up that will tell you when you can't park. So that way the street sweeper can get through. So it's trickier for the streets that are not posted, because what street services will do then is go out and post temporary signs to let people know when the sweeping is going to occur. And it's interestingly enough, when you go into communities and offer them the weekly street sweeping, they're very interested in that until they learn that they're going to lose parking one day of the week on each side of the street, and then they're less interested. So sometimes it takes some outreach and some work. But there's exciting new technology that the council has approved for the Bureau of Street Services that has enabled us to put GPS trackers on our street sweepers. And soon we're going to, as Keith mentioned, we're already looking at new ways of routing the street sweepers to get more efficiency out of the street sweepers, and then alerting residents and business owners as to where the street sweepers are for really parking and use of the public right-of-way for optimization. Yes, ma'am.
Speaking of new technology, I was curious. I read, jumping ahead, and I don't mean to, in the Sidewalks program that there's some pilot initiatives for alternative materials. Are there any of those for like potholes in the streets and that sort of thing? Out of curiosity, as you're moving forward with a lot of these resurfacing.
Keith, go ahead.
Yes, actually there are. We are working with recycled materials, 100% recycled asphalt materials to put back into potholes. We're looking at fiber materials. We've been working with the aerospace industry, people like that. We're always looking for, asphalt is a technology, whether people understand that or not, to where we look for things that are more durable, that will last longer, that are cheaper and efficient. So yes, we have been looking at different technologies to basically in asphalt overall, just so it will last longer. Once we put it down, it will last 15, 20, 25 years, if not longer, because we do get those calls to where it's like we fix a pothole and we come back 2 or 3 days later and have to fix the same pothole. So we're looking at being more efficient, better technologies that where the asphalts will last longer.
Is there some way to get some information or follow that track?
You can contact me directly, and then basically I'll be more than willing to talk to you about that. So,
Councilman?
I'll give you my card.
Were you guys?
I just wanted to double down on my friend Suzanne's question about routing for street cleaning. It was so long ago that my co-maker of the motion was Tony Cardenas, Congressman Tony Cardenas. We had asked at some time for a comprehensive review of routing, in part because the city has changed. The city traffic patterns change, development patterns change, the neighborhoods change, and so periodically a system-wide refresh probably makes sense. I know it's an enormous task to do that, but especially in light of the new technologies that you mentioned, neighborhoods' willingness to consider maybe losing that parking if they know that they'll be notified that they can park there again as soon as the sweeper passes. There's a changing dynamic that maybe makes this worth revisiting, especially as we're examining our community plans as well. Because part of the community plan needs to be the accompanying infrastructure and public services that come with that. So that's point number one, just for your consideration. I don't want to make it, a whole thing again, but maybe the refresh idea in conjunction with the community plans makes sense. Second thing is, sorry, this is kind of a personal thing, but a long time ago, I also introduced a motion with regard to our elementary schools, because many of our elementary schools have posted no parking for street sweeping beginning at 8 a.m. Exactly at
When parents are dropping their kids off.
Exactly at the time when in constrained parking areas, parents are walking back to their car to find a ticket on it because it's posted for sweeping. I know this is hard because it's like a thread in the sweater. Once you change one, it changes the whole system. I get it, but just a 15-minute buffer there would be so helpful to parents who want to drop their kids off and not worry about getting a ticket before they get back. I introduced this motion probably 5 or 6 years ago, something like that, and I've never seen a result come from it. So I would like to again ask if we might be able to make some progress on, just in the areas around elementary schools, a 15-minute barrier. Just make it 8:15 instead of 8, and it would solve that problem.
And we could probably, Councilman, the answer is yes, and we'll work with the Bureau on and getting you response on when we can implement that. Regarding the signage, the DOT signs, those are things that we can probably even sticker over without having to spend the money to replace the signs.
Yeah, if I may, I'm willing to work with the mayor's office and LADOT on discussing their enforcement policies around maybe that 15-minute to 20-minute buffer. It's something that could probably be implemented in the short term until a longer-term fix is done. So I'm happy to take that one on for you, sir.
Thank you. But again, the DOT part, the enforcement part is only part of the equation, because we also don't want street services to have to deal with trying to sweep a street that has 20 cars parked on it. So if you don't fix both parts of it.
Absolutely.
So thank you, but I think changing the routes a little bit too is an essential part of the solution.
Great, thank you. And as you mentioned, Councilmember, technology today is with the GPS on the street sweepers and additional software that's available to street services that wasn't available just a couple of years ago, really gives them an opportunity to reform the whole routing process. So thank you. Any other questions for this? Yes, sir. Mr. Blumenfield.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to say from Encino, thank you very much. I want to specifically mention Ida Valencia, who's the project manager in resurfacing.
You can tell her yourself, she's sitting right next to you.
The question that we did have is, we've noticed a lot in our neighborhood, a lot of folks are removing parkways, predominantly multifamily property managers, and paving over with concrete without a permit, and the concrete that they're putting down is not ADA compliant. And I know it's been an issue, and it's kind of starting to more of a domino effect. I know despite some of them being installed 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or whatnot, is code enforcement coming back to the site and correct those situations?
So with that, you can give us a list of those locations, sir, and then we can work with either Bureau of Engineering or even contract administration potentially, even building and safety. We'll just have to figure out how we can enforce that. But yeah, home property owners, you do have to get a permit typically when you change anything within a right-of-way. And so we could get those locations and then basically actively research that to see if they actually pulled a permit, to see if it is compliant, to see if it meets standard specifications. So we can get those locations from you.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the trees had fallen over, and we hired someone, had a truck, it was street cleaning. In Santa Monica, they had an enforcement person behind the street cleaner, and as soon as they cleaned the street, then the enforcement person said, you can park now. It was still within the hours where you weren't allowed to park, where they allowed it, and it makes it a great deal.
We're working on that now in the city of Los Angeles. There's a pilot program that will be started. When does the pilot start? Within weeks.
Yeah, it's starting very soon.
Right.
Yeah.
There was street work on Lake Shore, between Burbank and Oxnard, and there's a cracked sidewalk. So I asked, can we just patch it for us? And they said, absolutely not, because then we have to take out permits. This is a city. We have to take out permits. We have to be ADA compliant. So it's still cracked because no one will touch it because of all the restrictions.
So the restriction, and then Keith, the restriction you're talking about is there was it's a liability issue on once you touch it, it has to be ADA compliant. But we hear you and we agree with you. We've worked with street services again this budget year, money for the patchwork, even though the patchwork is not ideal. The patchwork is typically asphalt, doesn't look great, but it does, for liability purposes, it makes, and that's what we care about, the safety of our residents, obviously. It makes the sidewalk safer. And so street services is doing that kind of work, again, along with BOE, but I may have overstepped on which bureau. Go ahead, Keith.
No, Bureau of Engineering manages a sidewalk program as far as for these type of repairs, things like that. But as far as an interim temporary repair, we're not required, street service, to pull a permit. So I don't know which agency, you may have talked to a different agency, but we can take that information from you and we can put in asphalt temporary repair. We can inspect the location and look at it. And if there's any issues, then we can work with BOE potentially, but we can always put an interim repair to make it safe.
And I'll get your name and telephone number and follow up.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Any further questions from Ms. Maxwell? Great, thank you, Veronica. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Agenda item number 3 is the Bureau of Street Lighting, improvements in technology from street lighting. There are, and Assad, this is off the top of my head. What are we at, 260,000?
250,000.
Okay, I was pretty close, 250,000 different street lights in the public right-of-way in the city of Los Angeles. Obviously, like our street services, street lighting, it is one of the largest municipal street light inventories in the world, frankly, for one municipality. And street lighting is one of our, like all of our other bureaus, but an award-winning bureau. They really lead the way when it comes to technology in and around and adjacent to the public right-of-way, with so many neat things that they're working on. And so I'll let Assad Almanjar go through and let you know about what's going on at the Bureau of Street Lighting. And then after he finishes, we'll take questions. And we have a speaker card on number 3 after he finishes as well. So
Good
so go
evening,
ahead.
Councilman Krekorian, President James, members of the board, department heads, and the constituents of this neighborhood in the city of Los Angeles. I'm Asad Al-Najjar. I'm the manager for the community services within the Bureau of Street Lighting. And I have also today with me Mr. Kearney Marine, our assistant director. The Bureau of Street Lighting is in charge of the design, construction, and maintenance of the street lighting assets, which is about 250,000 lights citywide. In line with our motto, Bright Lights, Safe Nights, we work diligently to upgrade and monitor our street lights and try to bring the city of LA the best of innovation. We started 94 years ago with the oil lamp and the incandescent lights, and today we have state-of-the-art LEDs, and our test labs are always looking for the next generation of street lighting to come. Street lighting technology includes many areas, but I outlined only the ones that are the top list right now. So we have the first program is the Accelerated High Voltage Series to Multiple, and that's a 5-year program in which we convert the existing high voltage circuits to lower voltage. We have 25,000 units of those, and we're targeting 5,000 units a year. Half of those, it's done by the city forces, by our field operations, and the other half is contracted out. Our LED conversion is for the regular voltage circuits have been completed with 185,740 LED units installed, and that means savings, an annual reduction of 65,400 metric ton of carbon dioxide. Also, we are heavily involved in line with being one of the smart cities in the globe with the installation of smart poles, and that is done through our co-location division. And that includes two portions. One is the installation of wireless meters that goes for serving the utility companies like the gas company, and in the future for the electric meters. And the other one is to support the deployment and the enhancement of the mobile operator. The other item we're heavily involved is the remote monitoring devices, and those, in addition to monitoring the voltage and monitoring if there is outages or not, they report to us the exact amount of power being used, and this will help the engineers design the next generation of lights to come. The other program, we're going fast forward with it. It's the electric vehicle charging stations on street light poles. With the fast deployment of all the electric cars and the plug-in hybrids, the city wants to be providing all the constituents with availability of charging the car while they are parked at the meter. And the last item that we're active on is the tunnels and the underpasses to convert those to LEDs. So to get to the nitty-gritty of the presentation, so the small cells will strengthen the city communication coverage, and this is in part of with the resilience plan that the mayor signed on in March of 2018, and to make the communications channels available to all citizens if in the, God forbid, earthquake or something happens. So this way it's helpful. The locations are determined by the mobile operator through their RF engineering, and we grant them permits to install these. So far, we had installed 1,979 citywide, and in the presentation, the blue dots represent all the cell units. The red dots represent the utility gas company remote billing. Next slide shows the tunnel LED conversion. So as part of our street lighting assets, we have 300 tunnels citywide. 25 of those are in CD2. So as of last week, we have finished and completed 10 of these tunnels, which are listed in the slide. The 170 Hollywood Freeway, Sherman Way at Laurel Canyon, Golden State Freeway at San Fernando Road, Ventura Freeway at Tahunga, at White Oak, Goldwater, and at Colfax. And The other 6 under design are scheduled for construction to be completed this fiscal year. The remaining 9 is under design, and it's going to be for fiscal year 1920. The other program I mentioned earlier is the EV charger, the electric vehicle charger. So in the first phase, we installed 132 units citywide. 7 of those are in Council District 2, which I included the street address for these locations. And right now, we're going to be installing another 7 in Council District 2. In regards to the LED status, so far in Council District 2, we have converted 84% of the 8,556 streetlights. The remaining 1,395 falls into 2 areas. 942 is going to be having conversion kits, and those are like from different other gases we have. The 453 units is part of the series to multiple, and those we are targeting 150 units per year. It might be a small number, but it's very involved process because we have to remove the old conduit, the old wires, install a new conduit, a new infrastructure, then we can bring up the new system up. In regards to repairs and maintenance, for the past 12 months, we had 631 repairs. The 302 were single light out, 88 multiple light outs, and those typically get done the same day. We had 23 post hits, so those we try to install sort of whatever we have available within the 2-3 days until we get the back orders on the regular poles. Conduit hits, we had 19, and on average those take 7 to 10 working days to repair. Vandalism, which typically is the wire theft, we had 38 incidents. Repairs on those take a while because we have to come in and install a new wire, which is cumbersome, but we work on it diligently. We had done about 128 inspections, and those are random sites in which we come in and do minor repairs. Other failures, 29, which is a small items. It could be like a handhold cover or a base or minor repair. The new item that our bureau had done for this count for CD2 is the grants for the community through the Cdbg, the Community Development Block Grants. We had worked with the council members' office and explained to them the availability of this program, and we had worked with them 5 applications that we submitted in November 2018, and we're hoping to hear back within few months which ones are successful. The total of units are 144 units at $2.88 million. And those are some in the North Hollywood area, as I marked for you, at Reviton, at Sasuma Avenue. Other ones are on Craner Avenue and Cleon Avenue. And the third portion in the North Hollywood area around Denny Avenue and Grand Ward. The last one is in the Van Nuys area, Cohasset and Valerio. And the fifth one is Armanita Avenue, which is 9 units. And we will encourage the council every year to identify areas that qualify for this program through the housing, and we will work with them and submit the applications, and hopefully once it's successful, then our design group will take care of the design and our crew will do the installation. The one item I need the help of the community with is the wire theft. We've been hit for the past few years, many areas citywide, with crews or with so I don't want to call them genius, but they invent ways on stealing the wire. They come in crews that look like city forces. They have cars that have city logos, but in reality, they are just stealing the wire. We got helped actually in many areas from the neighborhood watch, which we got the call through the 311, and we managed to dispatch 911 to get them to stop the theft while it's in progress. We can be reached on the My 311 app, and that one, once you upload the problem, it comes to me and my staff of 5 people, and we immediately can address it. If you include with your request a picture, it would help us. So this way we can identify the problem and know what kind of repairs. Also, we are active on Twitter, and we could be reached at LA Lights. And hopefully, if you have any pictures for tonight, you could share to start with on the Twitter. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Assad. And we have Connie Elliott has a speaker card in. Come on up, ma'am. Or you can stand right there, whatever you prefer, before we go to questions. Thank you.
I realized after I turned in the speaker card that the street light that I called 311 about this morning has a wooden pole. Does that mean it does not come under your jurisdiction? Because they put me through to DWP.
Well, likely it's a DWP pole, yeah, if it's wooden, but go ahead.
So
he'll answer that for you.
So historically, the util part is part of DWP. However, as of July 2018, our division inherited that task. So now when you get to the 311, they will route you to me or to one of my staff, and we'll take the request to either repair, upgrade, or even the installation. Within the next few weeks, it will be an item in the My 311 app, but at this time, it's in the Bureau of Street Lighting. So when you go in there and you press on the wooden pole, you could reach us and you could report it. And I'll give you my number. You could.
Thank you. I have to ask you this question and then get on with what I was going to say, because a few years ago, my neighborhood had a meeting in Mr. Krekorian's office. We had some money. We wanted to add a couple of street lights, but we couldn't do it because they were different entities, and we were told we had to take down all the street lights in our neighborhood and start over again. We didn't have that much money. Does that mean that the problem we might be able to just add 1 or 2 street lights now that it sounds like you've sort of merged?
We didn't merge. We took the task.
I wouldn't call it a merger, but
yeah, we're accepting the requests and have it passed to them. The lights you're talking about, it's on wooden poles that you wanted to take down and put street lights?
That's not what I signed up on the speaker card for, but yes, since you're telling me that you're doing both, we only wanted to add a couple of lights, but we were told we couldn't because our lights, we had to install the metal pole ones and we had to take down all the wooden pole ones first, and we don't have enough money to do that.
Right, so the new system, it's a different process, and typically the council office helps us and helps the constituent through that. What it is, right, so there is a form that we have, and all the neighbors in that street will sign on it, and it comes to us. Unfortunately, we're regulated by Proposition 218, which means all the residents would have to vote on ballots and accept the assessment for the maintenance before we can even proceed with that. And this is a state requirement that we cannot get out of. It's a requirement.
We understood that, but this was going to mean tearing down all the lights and adding, like 15 lights or something, and we did not have that budget.
Submit the application to me, and let me see what we can do.
Okay, well, I'll talk to my neighbors. Thank you. Though what I was signed up about was that I've lived next to this light for 40 years, and it's very important that it be repaired right away because my street dead ends at the LA River. And at night when that light is dark, which it is now, someone could just barrel down and just head right into the river. They replaced the bulb 2 months ago, and now it's out again. So I suspect that there's some other problem you know, complicated. But and I expressed this on the phone to DWP, but I just wanted to ask if there's anything else I can do to make sure that it doesn't stay dark and that someone isn't killed or injured because they can't see the dead end sign.
Well, there is, and you just did it, ma'am. You've got the gentleman right there.
I'll take care of it. Just give me the address.
I'll write down for you the address.
Yeah.
Great, thank you, Ms. Elliott. Suzanne?
Is there any plan to add additional lighting in CD2, especially in Valley Village and NoHo? And do the charging stations have backup? Because when the power goes down and you have to drive around looking for a place to charge your car, and if they're not working.
Okay, so the first portion, we're working with the council office on the areas, and I had showed the 5 first areas that's going up, and then we will be introducing on the next round of applications, which is in November, the other areas. And basically, it's a qualification process, and yeah, I know. And that's why we encourage the council office to take advantage of this money. So we're hoping for this fiscal year, they will get the 2.88 million. And once we get those money, we'll revisit the area and see which ones is close to where you're proposing. And if it's not, then we'll put it in the next round of application. The money is there. It's just a matter of an application has to be submitted. And the application is directly from the council office. We just act as the messenger of the application. And the other question?
Charging stations for your electric cars, a lot of people won't buy them because it's difficult to find a place to charge them, honestly. When my lease was up, I didn't because at that time we only had one charging station, and you could never get a partner because somebody would park there in front of the charging station, so it'd be like, it would be a drag. Now we have 2, but it's still a problem because someone still parks in front of the thing, and if the power's down, don't those go down as well?
Okay, so when the power goes down, yes, unfortunately, the unit will be obsolete. The whole city will be out of power. As far as backup, I haven't seen any. Our solar lights have backup. The solar lights we have installed citywide, they work on 1 per charge for 5 consecutive nights. So, but from the electrical, this one, I'll bring it up to the attention of the designers. Yeah, I haven't seen any proposal for batteries. Yeah, and then, okay. Right. So in regards people parked, LADOT had promised that this fiscal year they will identify the areas with green lines and a very clear sign that no parking is allowed. Some areas have the banner. However, the banners have been flying away or somebody just take them down. We realize it's a problem, and I've been bugging LADOT about it, but I'll take a note to remind them on that we need a don't park here. I have the same problem. I come in and it's like people parked. Yeah.
Suzanne, I also have an electric car. I experience the same issues. I don't have a charger at home. I've been talking to the head of Bureau of Street Lighting and helping identify more places in the council office districts and working with the council offices themselves to find the right places for that, and LADOT on just exactly that, making sure there's clear signage on that, because it personally affects me as well. It is frustrating, but not to give up on electric cars. They're very important.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello. Ms. Ranzak.
Thank you, Mr. James. One other lighting problem that frequently is called to my attention at high noon. I can be driving the Hollywood freeway, and the lights on the freeway are lit. Other places in town, in the valley, wherever I'm driving, and I see these street lights illuminated in the middle of the day. Another place where it is very frequent is along Olive View Hospital. On Foothill Boulevard goes past, and there's the new poles with the new LED lights, and the entire strip of that Foothill area is all illuminated at high noon. This bothers me because with our technology, we should be able to have a way to look at a panel. I'm very simplistic when it comes to technology, so I say look at a panel and there's a place where if something is wrong, then you can correct it. So doesn't the city have a central lighting panel that lets them know where lights are either out or they're on in the middle of the day?
Right. So far we have 31,000 of the 250,000 lights that have this technology, and we're trying to add as much as possible as we can, and it takes time to bring all the city to that. The other thing, the ones you see with the lights on, we call it the day burner, and what it is this way, if our crew is passing by, they realize something wrong with the cell and they fix it, rather than the cell would be out and you call us and say light out. So it's designed in a way in reverse. If the cell goes bad, the light stays on, so that at least when the night comes in, you have a light. And when we're driving in daytime, we see it. In regards to the freeway, those are Caltrans lights. It's not the city of LA. Yeah. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, sir.
Could you talk about the solar panels on the lights? Does that provide all the power, or how are the solar panels throughout Los Angeles?
Right, so we have a program which is twofold. One fold is with the solar panels on their own on a street light, and those just feed back to the grid to water and power. And it has advantage of course, helping the grid on water and power so that they don't exhaust on the power. Plus, it stabilizes, especially in the summer, the frequency that the current goes into the circuit. And this way you don't have any failures. So that's one portion. The other portion, we have close to 800 standalone streetlights, and those are part of a test bed that we're doing as part of the Resilient Los Angeles. Many of those you find along the bikeways or bus stops, and the way we designed it, on one-day charge, they would remain on enough for 5 consecutive nights. So if we get the sun one day and then rains 4 days, we're still in good. And I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Councilman.
Thank you. Mr. Almanzar, two things.
Yes, sir.
One, I want you to brag for a minute, and then I've got a question. The LED conversion program has been just one of the phenomenal successes that the city has had in terms of impact on greenhouse gas emission. Can you kind of quantify the equivalent savings that we've had of carbon reduction because of the LED conversions?
Right.
That's number one. And before you answer that, I'm going to go to my question too, so you can just flow right into it. Valley Village a number of years ago had a catastrophic tragedy when a car hit a high voltage streetlight and a fire hydrant at the same time. And I think most people will remember there were 2 people who were perished in that incident. And at the time, I was trying to stress with the Bureau the urgency of getting rid of the high voltage power supplies, at least around fire hydrants and other potential water sources. So can you first brag about the CO2, and then second, can you tell us where we are in terms of, as a percentage, how close are we getting to getting rid of all the high voltage
Right.
power supplies?
So back to my slide number 2. So the brag side, it's 65,400 metric tons.
Yeah, what does that mean?
It means cars close to 8,000 car emissions. Yeah, close to 8,000 cars or 4,000 big homes, something like that. In regards to the STM, it's on a very accelerated program. In Council District 2, you have only 453 units left out of the 25,000 citywide. And hopefully the first 150 will be done this 6 months, the next 150 this calendar year, and then the next one right after. And conversion-wise, as of the 25,000, we're close to almost 10,000. So we're already achieving year 3 goals in year 2. So we're already 1 year ahead of the program, and the team works very hard on it. It's not an easy task. It's not just because like I said earlier, you have to dig out everything old and put everything new. This is high voltage, so we can't leave the wires in there. We can't leave anything in there because it might have another mishap. Somebody wants to put a big foundation or something and they hit it, they get electrocuted. Yeah.
Thank you, Assad. Appreciate it, Mr. Al-Najjar. Thank you very much. Agenda item number 5, we have Clean Streets Los Angeles update from Bureau of Sanitation. Commissioner Cabello will introduce this.
Yes. The primary responsibility for Los Angeles Sanitation is to collect, clean, and recycle solid and liquid waste generated by residential, business, and industrial users in the city. We serve over 4 million people with approximately 2,800 dedicated staff. And sanitation protects the public health and environment and enhances the quality of life in all neighborhoods of the city. So today we have our presentation on Clean Streets LA by Daniel McKay, if you'd like to step forward.
Good evening, everyone. President Davis, commissioners, members of the board. I'm Daniel McKay, South Collection Manager for LA Sanitation. I'm going to give a brief overview and update on our Livability Services Division, which does include Clean Streets Los Angeles, or the initiative. CSLA currently has 5 CSLA and 6 HOPE teams that respond to homeless encampment and illegal dumping cleanup citywide. We are currently working on a regional deployment plan with the additional teams, which consist of 5 CSLA and 3 HOPE teams, aligned with the mayor's A Bridge to Home, or ABH. LA San is currently within its 21-day response time to all illegal dumping service requests. We're in the process of installing no illegal dumping signs. We're using historical CleanStat data of chronic illegal dumping locations to place these signs in areas where they are needed most. Currently, we have deployed 3,750 ALB receptacles since the executive directive was announced. These additional bins bolster the efforts of Clean Streets by making it easier to ensure trash goes where it belongs. The receptacle program manages a database of all public receptacles, which accounts for over 11,000 receptacles with multiple service providers. A recent enhancement includes incorporating of our database into MyLA311, which ensures accuracy and user-friendly way for individuals to generate a service request. An interactive map with images of the bin is available through MyLA311 website and mobile application. Okay, I have a short PowerPoint starting with Livability Service Division. Okay, so it basically consists of 4 parts: the CSLA service teams, cracking down on illegal dumping, which helps us enforce illegal dumping legally, 5,000 new trash cans, and our data-driven strategy. The strategy is a quarterly street-by-street survey, which ranks streets according to 1, 2, and 3, ranking based on cleanliness available to view at cleanstreetsla.com. This is what we call a heat map. And the heat map in CD2 is where the X's are located, is where we've decided that put no illegal dumping signs, 25 locations, both English and Spanish signs. The heat map is also discussed with CD2 staff and in conjunction with LA San, where the signs are strategically located. Here's a picture of the signs. Receptacle summary in Council District 2. So this is a bitmap of where all the receptacles in Council District 2 are. We currently have 173 located within Council District 2, 625 receptacle bins, and in fiscal year 18-19, we're going to add 80 more ALBs, which are automated litter bins on the sidewalk, according to ED8. Here's a receptacle database citywide. Basically, it lets us know how many containers of what type are in the city citywide. I know it's a little hard to see from where you may be sitting, but anyone needs a copy of this PowerPoint, I'll be sure to make that available at the end of the meeting. Here's a receptacle database map of Council District 2. So it shows a bitmap of where all the containers are located within CD2, and on the left, it shows you who the providers are and what types of bins they are. This is something we've added recently. Where to create public receptacle service requests. So there's 3 different ways to do it. You can do it through City of LA, My LA 311. You can do it through LA Sand website, or you can do it through My LA 311 mobile app. Yes. Here's the LA Sanitation website, picture of our director on the front. And so it just sort of a tutorial leads you right through on how to create a service request. Right there it says click service request, and it'll lead you through a short tutorial. Right here it indicates that you want a collection, and then you scroll down to sidewalk container or sidewalk receptacle, and then a picture of the container will pop up, and it'll ask you, is this the service address you'd like to have service? So you can report whether it's overflowing, whether it's broken, or if it's out of place. Or you have the My LA 311 mobile app, and so it's a little easier. You actually just click service request, and then scroll down to refuse pickups and section and choose the public street receptacles portion or application. And again, a picture will pop up asking if this is the bin you'd like to report on. And whatever the issue is with the container, you can report it through My 311 LA. And that'll do it. It was very brief.
Thank you, Mr. McKay. Any questions for Mr. McKay? Oh, before we do that, we have, before we get to questions, Suzanne, Gary Agus put in a speaker card on number 5. Mr. Agus?
Good evening.
Hi.
Thank you all for coming to the Valley. It makes life much easier.
Happy to be here.
Until recently, I was on the Sun Valley Area Neighborhood Council, and a couple of years ago, we won the Clean Streets Award.
Congratulations, I remember.
Thank you. But we have yet to see the $2,500 cash award that we were supposed to get.
Okay. I didn't expect to hear that. Okay.
And our plan all along was to pass that award on to the stakeholders that helped us. We have run into nothing but obstacles, and I don't know how much of it is the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment and the city clerk. I don't know. It has not occurred.
May I ask, sir, was it part of the Mayor's Clean Street Challenge?
I'm sorry?
Was it part of the Mayor's Clean Streets Challenge?
Yes.
Okay, what year was that?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, if you'd like, Fernando Campos, if you'd like, you can just give me your contact information, or I'll give you my business card, and we can look into that for you. All the checks were paid out, is my understanding. However, if it never arrived to your organization or to your partnership, we will look into that check. It could have been mailed out and possibly misplaced or mailed to the wrong location.
Our chief accountant is here this evening. Mr. O'Gara.
To clarify, the 2,500, we wanted to split the money up with the entities that helped us. There were 7 or 8 entities. We removed 24 tons of dirt from one street. Did a great job. The money was given to the city clerk to disperse to us. We want to split that up with 8 other entities. Ron Galperin got into this. They have to fill out a whole bunch of paperwork. A lot of them don't want to do that. The money's still sitting with the city clerk, and we haven't been able to get the money.
Okay, well.
I'm more than happy to
yeah,
give you my
let's-
business card and we can discuss in
Dr.
terms of how to
Campos
get that
is
money.
very good at these
I
things.
think between
so.
Kevin and the mayor, we should be able to
There you
get
go.
it done. It's been over 2 years.
Okay. $2,500, we ought to be able to get it done. Sorry about the additional paperwork, but legal requirements, Mr. Jordan. Suzanne, go ahead.
Okay. I just.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gary. Go, yeah.
Thank you, and thank you for letting him clarify.
No, thank you. Anything else, Gary, before you? Is that, okay. Go ahead, Suzanne.
Illegal dumping. I have a neighbor who was doing illegal construction, so I stopped the construction and reported that he took all of the stuff he demolished across the street to his vacant lot, and now it's a giant garbage heap of everything in the world. And that was this summer, and they said that they were gonna, I reported it, and they said they would take care of it, and they're on it, but you're not on it.
So you're saying it's in a vacant lot on private property, or is it on city property?
No, it's on private property, so illegal construction and illegal dumping. But they said, the city said to me, we're on it, but 8 months later, you're not on it.
Okay, if you give me the location, I will report it to our street services, street use investigator, and usually that's the route we go to investigate illegal dumps.
I did all that, and they told me, we're on it, we're gonna make him move that stuff, and
Okay.
they haven't.
You give me the address, ma'am, and I will follow up on it and get back to you, okay?
Great, thank you. Anything further? All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Agenda item, let's go to Bureau of Engineering, agenda item number 4. Dr. Davis, Commissioner Davis, Bureau of Engineering.
Bureau of Engineering. First, let me say that I've had the pleasure of working with your councilman when he was in the state legislature last, 5 years ago, at least. Yeah, I want to keep you young. But no, I know he was doing great work there and is continuing to do great work. Engineering. The Bureau of Engineering is a critically important bureau that is responsible for design and construction of all public buildings, and also it oversees projects involving our bridges, our parks, streets, water treatment plants, our sewers, and our storm drains, and primarily responsible for the regulation of private development that impacts public right-of-way. So those are the roles and responsibilities of our Bureau of Engineering. And with that, we have Julie Slaughter, who is our Deputy Chief Engineer.
Well, good evening. Thank you so much, Commissioner Davis and the rest of the commissioners. Good evening, and to all of you who's here this evening at our off-site board meeting. My name is Julie Souter, and I'm going to give you a brief overview of one of the Bureau of Engineering's programs, which is the Sidewalk Repair Program, also known as the Safe Sidewalks LA. So for those of you who haven't, who may not have heard about the Safe Sidewalks LA program, it is a 30-year, $1.4 billion program to make to make our sidewalks accessible and safe for all of those who live and visit and work in our great city. You hear these are a couple of pictures of the work that we've already done, a before and after repair of a curb ramp. So basically, the sidewalk repair program is grouped into 3 major components. The first component, which is really the basis from our settlement lawsuit, is fixing sidewalks for those who are mobility disabled. And what we call that is our access request program. Another part of Safe Sidewalks LA is a rebate program. So if you're not in the disabled class, there's an opportunity for you to voluntarily work with the city and pay for your sidewalk repair and get a rebate for approximately half. It's been a very popular program right now, and due to that, we're not accepting applications at this current moment, and as we move on to our program, we'll reevaluate if we would like to expand that program. And the last portion of our Safe Sidewalks LA is our general report of sidewalks. But the one thing that I would like all of you to remember is our website, which is sidewalks.lacity.org, because you're getting a lot of information this evening and probably won't remember half of it. So remember, sidewalks.lacity.org, so that if you wake up tomorrow morning and want to put in a request or want to learn more about the program, you can come here, and there's all of the information that we'll be covering this evening. So one of the things, for those of you who may not need assistance or may not be tech savvy, we have 3 different ways that you can make a repair for request. One is our MyLA 311. You can go to the website, or if you have a download on your mobile app, you can make your request there. Also, you can call 311 directly. You know, if you like talking to someone in person, the operators would be able to help you, as well as our Department on Disability and our very own council districts. If you call them, they'll be able to assist you and connect them to our program. And lastly, if you would love to visit one of our offices, you can also visit us in person at the Department on Disability, our council district field offices, council office at City Hall, or even our Bureau of Engineering district office. So here it's a little tough to see. Here is a before and after pictures of some of the repairs that we've done in Council District 2. This is Victory Vineland Recreational Park. And it's a little hard to see, but this is, someone mentioned the alternative material program. This is actually one of the alternative materials that we used here. It's actually a recycled rubber pavers. And not only are we diverting rubber tires from our waste stream, we're also being able to recycle that and use it on our sidewalks. They're pavers, so they're more permeable, allowing water to actually get into our ground. Here's again a few more before and after pictures of what we've done thus far in your council district. So one of the things that we are also working on in the sidewalk repair program, other than repairing sidewalks, is we're updating our Navigate LA. As Commissioner Davis mentioned, that the Bureau of Engineering is also responsible for maintaining our Navigate LA system. So as part of that, this sidewalk repair program went ahead and we identified all of the sidewalks within the city of Los Angeles. So how many of you can guess, you guys can answer because you've heard this presentation before, how many of you can guess how many sidewalks, how many miles of sidewalks we have in the city of Los Angeles? Okay, we'll give it to our president. It's over 9,300 miles of sidewalks. That's like going up and down the coast of California, what, about 10 times? So there's a lot of work to be done. So as part of that, we understand that there's a lot of work to be done, and everybody's very, there's a lot of pent-up demand for sidewalk repair. It's been neglected for many years, so there's a lot of demand. And so what we've done with City Council, we've developed a prioritization and scoring program. So again, as I mentioned, the program was created out of a settlement agreement, and so there was a lot of prescriptive requirements on how we fixed our sidewalks. So we looked at those requirements, working with our council offices as far as, the things that they're hearing from their constituents as far as how they would like us to approach sidewalk repair, and we came up with a scoring system. I'm not going to go in, there's a lot of it that goes into, severity and where your sidewalk is. Is it near a transportation corridor? Is it somewhere near a place of employment? So all of these were put together, and we do have a systematic way for us to address the repairs of, our 9,000 plus miles of sidewalk. And again, here's a little bit more about our rebate program. Again, as I mentioned, due to overwhelming response, we have a lot of applications. Hopefully, we will be able to expand it or open it up as more funding becomes available. And here's a little bit, here's a couple pictures of alternative materials, a really great opportunity to incorporate some green infrastructure and sustainability methods in our program. It's a pilot, and we've already installed a few in Council District 2, and we're going to be monitoring and see how these products perform, and hopefully we'll be able to expand their usage over the next 30 years. And lastly, I hear a lot of comments and interest about our trees and just our environment in general. We are in the process of developing an EIR, and we'll be releasing our draft later in March. So for those of you who are very interested in the overall environmental impact report, let us know. We can keep you updated, but keep an eye out. That should be coming out in March. So with that, sidewalks.lacity.org, and I'm also here for any questions that you may have. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Ms. Souter. Yes, ma'am.
So when you talk about the sidewalks, what about the trees that are pushing up the sidewalk? What happens when you get ready to do that sidewalk?
So we work, you know, hand in hand with our Bureau of Street Service, Urban Forestry. Part of the process that we have is that our urban forestry will go out and look at the assessment of the trees and determine if we can do root pruning and some canopy trimming adequately enough so that we can replace the sidewalk without removing the trees. You know, they're experts in their field, and if they do determine that the trees need to be removed to be able to repair the sidewalk, you know, they will go ahead and do the notification that it will be done and remove the trees, replace the sidewalks. There is currently the city's policy for a 2-to-1 replacement for the removed trees.
Yes, ma'am. And then we'll go, yes, ma'am, back there, then we'll go to Ms. Ramswhite. Go ahead.
So I took care of you, 9,000 miles, and we're obviously completely inundated, and I was just wondering, what can one do to prioritize or even, I live directly across the street from the Valley Plaza Park, directly across the street. It is one of the worst sidewalks. I literally watch wheelchairs cross off my driveway and go down the middle of the street because they cannot pass the sidewalk. The man next door to me is 98 years old. He does not speak English. He's not going to call in. He's not getting exposed to this. The woman 2 doors down from me is in a wheelchair, and her home is now convalescent for her. And we're directly across the street from the public park. We're still not prioritized. I would love to take on doing my little strip in front of my house and waiting 30 years to get rebated 50% if that's what I have to do. But that's not going to help my 98-year-old neighbor or the 77-year-old neighbor 2 doors down in the wheelchair or anybody else on my block where the trees are literally doing this. So I've been doing this since before the lawsuit, before whatever, to try to get this street fixed because we're in a public place. What can I do?
So there's a couple different things. For your neighbors that are of the mobility class, you can apply for them. Yes, and so.
When I last called, I couldn't, and I've talked to them, and they're like,
Yeah, no, so, you know, call me if you have a problem or email us, because one of the process improvements is that for those who are applying on behalf of those with a mobility disability. So there's a few questions that they will ask, you know, who are you calling in for? And, they will be very respectful as far as, people's privacy, but you should be able to apply for those on behalf, or you should on behalf of someone with a mobility disability. The city recognizes that there is just a tremendous amount of work to be done out there, and even with 1.4 billion sounds like a lot of money, $30 million a year. You're right, it's not enough. And in this current fiscal year, understanding the need for repair, the city actually approved an additional $10 million through the SB1 gas tax. So in addition to our $31 million that we're getting as part of the settlement, the city actually made available an additional $10 million. You know, it's a start. You know, as a start, and I you know, will take steps in actually growing and finding other opportunities to get more resources to fix sidewalks. With respect to the ASCOT, or is what do you?
I was just asking if you'd recommend going ahead and just trying to fix it one house at a time and waiting for the rebate.
You know, that's you know, obviously a personal decision based on, you know, the resources that you have. We do have, for people who don't want to wait for the rebate, don't want to wait the 30-year, or, you know, to get in the queue, you can go ahead and pull a permit at our district offices, and it is a no-fee permit for those who are doing sidewalk repairs. So it's a little bit, I know it doesn't completely compensate for you fixing your sidewalk, but it helps. Well, there is a no-fee permit for sidewalk repair for those who just voluntarily want to fix their sidewalks. For city facility, there's a little bit of a different grouping there. The city recognizes that we have a responsibility for fixing our own facilities, so there is a program there that the program carves out money that we will address our city facilities. And so hopefully you know, it's on the queue as far as that. It was a park that you mentioned.
Directly across from Valley Plaza Park. I mean,
Yeah, Valley Plaza, yeah, right. So hopefully I answered all your questions.
Yeah,
the point
like
is,
just keep pushing.
yeah, and contact us as well. We have an email, our website for the program, or you can contact me directly.
Thank you.
Ms. Renswag?
Thank you again, Mr. James. Sidewalks. Of your 9,000 plus sidewalks, I wanted to have repaired of less than 20 feet. Less than 20 feet. And since I joined the neighborhood council system in the year 2007, believe me, I have learned a lot. And so I was very encouraged when Mr. Krekorian helped to get through this rebate program on the sidewalks. The story goes like this. I have a corner house. It's an L shape, so you know, on the sidewalks, L shape. I applied for that rebate program, and I got a figure that I had to sit down for, because with the rebate, I would still have to pay $14,000 for 20 feet. And the extra 20 feet, actually my house, my property is adjacent to my neighbor, and my liquid amber root tree root, I had done about 5 or 6 feet of damage on his property. And if I had bought this $14,000 package, he would not have had to pay a penny because they couldn't finish their job with that not being done. And so I would have paid $14,000 for my 20 feet plus the entire L of my shape and my neighbor's 6 feet. Now, I wasn't terribly happy with that, so I didn't do it. But I would like to ask you a question, because based on what you were just now speaking to this other speaker, can I get a permit just to do the 20 feet? And of course, I would try to go in with my neighbor to try to get the rest of it done. We don't want to make any hazards in the community. Can I just get that 20 feet done?
Yes, you would be able to pull out your own sidewalk permit, although the city we are really encouraging people to fix their entire property to make it ADA compliant.
Oh, but the curb has already had the curb cut all nicely done.
Right.
And in fact, when the young man came out to explain to me why it was so expensive, he said that the curb cut is not according to the standards of the day, and it was going to have to be cut out. All of that bumpy yellow stuff has to be removed and redone, and that's on my bill. So I'm not terribly happy with $14,000.
Yeah, it is expensive, unfortunately, yes.
And that's the only place that the sidewalk is damaged on my property. And all of this other rest of this, he said that there was this thing about angle, that there was just a little fraction of an on this north side of the property, the angle, and because it was part of that $14,000. I'm just not happy with it at all.
So what we can do is, we can look into, there's obviously the rebate program, and so there's a lot of requirements that we have to do to be able to offer that. But if you're, yes, right. If you're interested in just looking at the area that is damaged, we can speak with you. We can work with our district office about pulling out an A permit, what options we have for pulling out an A permit on just that portion that you're wanting.
May I have your card?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Souter. Thank you, Ms. Ramswack. That takes us to agenda item number 6, our final agenda item for the evening, the Bureau of Contract Administration. Commissioner Davis.
Thank you very much. Contract administration does two basic things. One, it administers contracts and permits for public works construction or improvements. And secondly, and finally, it protects the city and public interests by ensuring that projects are constructed according to plans, laws, or regulations. In summary, I usually say, in this bureau, we inspect what we expect of those who do business with us. And to that end, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Ian Monteith, who is our project director for Bureau of Contract Administration. Ian.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. You always give me a very eloquent introduction, and I never feel like my presentations live up to that, so thank you very much. Commissioner James, rest of the commissioners that are here, the board, and also the constituents of CD2. Just want to thank you all for being here and just being patient and going through our presentations with us. And this is the last one, and I promise it will be brief. So what I'm here to do is I want to talk about a specific program within the Bureau of Contract Administration. My name is Ian Monte, and I am representing the Office of Contract Compliance and specifically the Labor Compliance section. And there within that section, one of our tasks is to administer what we call the Department of Public Works Project Labor Agreement. I'm going to talk about what that is momentarily, but our job is to monitor and enforce the terms of this particular agreement. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a very, very brief overview of this, the Department of Public Works Project Labor Agreement, otherwise known as the PLA. You'll see that repeatedly throughout this presentation, of which you guys have a hard copy to review. And I'm also going to discuss some of the key objectives. I'm going to give a few project examples of projects that will be performed under this PLA, as well as provide some real-time statistical metrics, and finally, and most important, provide an impact that the PLA has had on Council District 2 residents. So just very quickly, the Project Labor Agreement is indeed a partnership agreement between the City of Los Angeles, the building trades within the Los Angeles and Orange County region, and also private contractors. And there are many objectives, but three key objectives are the successful completion of city public works projects in a timely fashion with no work stoppages or disruptions, the targeted hiring of city residents with an emphasis on providing a career path for apprentices and transitional workers that reside in underrepresented and economically challenged communities, and finally, access to skilled labor forces with a commitment to training so that quality work is done without costly corrections. I'm going to camp out on Objective 2 shortly into my presentation because, again, I want to emphasize that we're looking to provide career paths with this particular PLA and this program. So really quickly, here are the different types of PLA construction projects. You have different City of LA municipal facilities. You have fire and police stations. You have recreation and park facilities, sewer improvements and replacements, street and bridge improvements, as well as water treatment plant enhancements. All of the different construction that happens within those particular categories largely occur under the PLA. So the PLA has three targeted hiring requirements. Some people will say goals, but whether you say goal, mandate, requirement, this must occur. And there is policy in place where if it does not occur, potential penalties can be enforced. But we don't want to talk about penalties because it's not about any penalty. It's really about the compliance. So every PLA project has three main goals. First, 30% of all the project hours of that project must be performed by a local resident. So that's a city resident residing in specific zip codes within the city. 50% or half of all of the project apprentice hours must be performed by a local apprentice city resident, someone that is recognized as an apprentice but is also a local resident. And finally, 10% of all of the project hours on a project must be performed by someone that has been certified as a transitional worker. And this is someone that has barriers to employment within their background, where different employment opportunities may escape them because they may have a criminal background, or because they may be homeless, or they may not have a high school diploma or GED, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what you have on page 5, this is some real-time metrics. The Bureau of Contract Administration has really invested into technology, and that investment is paid off in spades for us because we are able to do real-time analysis and tracking. All of this data comes from certified payrolls that are entered in by each contractor performing work on PLA-covered projects. And from that data, we're able to crunch these numbers that we're able to provide on a daily basis. So this information that you see before you is as of this morning at 6:30 a.m. So I'm not going to be labored by going through every single one of these lines, but I want to camp out here on 2 particular columns. So first, we have the PLA targeted hiring mandates. And in the 3rd column, we're talking about the city resident hours percentage. Now, I just briefly spoke about what the goals are, which also are mandates. And when we look at city residential hours, we see that 38% of city residents have performed 38% of the hours performed on the project were done by city residents, which are beating that 30% goal by 8%. 61% of the local apprentice, the hours are performed by a city resident. Why am I getting tongue-tied with this? I do this all the time. On a 50% goal. And of course, you have 20% of the project hours performed by transitional and disadvantaged workers on a 10% goal. Now, this gets equally as cool if we go to the 6th column, because now we're looking at the actual percentage of actual workers. So these are the head counts of the workers performing the job, performing the work. And so when you compare column 6 to column 3, you see that 29% of the city workers have performed 38% of the work. 45% of the local apprentice workers have performed 61% of the work. And finally, the one I like the best is you have 6% of the transitional workers have performed 20% of the work on the project. This is what the project labor agreement is about. This is about getting people an opportunity at an actual career. This is not people showing up on a job for a day and essentially saying, okay, we worked a day and they got paid and then they go about their way. These are people that are working sustained hours on a project so that they are able to continue to accumulate the number of hours to graduate to a journeyman level from an apprentice, and more importantly, provide for their families. So in the bottom column, you see that we have broken down and we have given some actual statistical information on Council District Number 2 residents. And we've broken it down with journey level and apprentice. Again, I'm not going to go through all of the numbers here, but what I really want to show is the number of actual workers within the Council District 2 residents. You have 128 journey level workers that have worked on this project, completing 29,750 hours. You have 51 apprentices that reside within Council District 2 that have performed over 13,000 hours. And it's really cool because the project labor agreement covered projects have allowed 8 of those apprentice workers to graduate to a journey level worker, which is absolutely awesome. And so that brings us to page 6, where we actually talk about wages reinvested into the city. The project labor agreement has resulted in $44.2 million being reinvested back into the city. More importantly, within Council District Number 2, this project labor agreement has resulted in over $1.5 million being reinvested back into the council district by way of the residents that have been performing the work on these projects. So again, I said this presentation was going to be very brief. The one thing I do not have on this presentation is the Bureau of Contract Administration's website, so I'm going to give that to you right now. It is BCA, or as we use when phonetics, Boyd Charles Adam, .org or .oceanrobertgeorge, and you will be able to log on, and all of this information is available to anyone that wants to peruse and take a look.